everybody, it's Randy Ray here at Driftwood Ranch, the literate Texan, with another book review. This will contain spoilers for A Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula K. Leguin. And this is a fantasy novel that I'm surprised I hadn't read before now. A Wizard of Earthsea was originally published in 1968. I did not realize when I was reading this book that it was aimed at teenagers. They didn't call it young adult fiction in 1968, I don't believe. But that's what it is. It's aimed at teenagers. But I'm just going to go ahead and get this out of the way. I loved it. This was a fantastic fantasy novel. This is one that I will read again and again. It's about a young wizard named Ged, or Jed, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. He's born in a village on an island called Gaunt, where they raise goats, and they are invaded, and he's got some power that he's learned from one of the local, hedge wizards or witches or whatever. But he winds up saving the people of the island and saving a lot of lives. And that's when they realize he's got a lot of innate magical power. So he apprentices himself to a wizard, and this wizard doesn't really say much and doesn't really teach much. He's taking things really, really slow. I'm reminded of Yoda and Luke Skywalker in Star Wars. All this predates that by about a decade. But Ged starts getting frustrated with the pace at which he's learning to become powerful. He's very ambitious, okay? And this is a world comprised mostly of islands and various kingdoms in those islands, but they're usually pretty small and kind of down to earth. There's a lot of travel via the ocean and in boats, and wizards specialize in different kinds of magic. There's naming magic, which the naming magic is really powerful, but there's wizards who specialize in weather and that sort of thing. But there's a lot of wizards, which definitely distinguishes it from something like Tolkien's Middle-earth, where there are 5 wizards, 2 of whom don't even show up in the stories. One of whom, Radagast, is parenthetical to the stories, and then you're left with Gandalf and Saruman. Gandalf being the good guy and Saruman being the most powerful wizard who used to be the good guy. But like I said, this can contain spoilers. It's going to contain spoilers for the Lord of the Rings too. But Saruman becomes a bad guy. So yeah, but for every wizard in Middle Earth, there's probably 20 wizards in Earthsea. So I thought that was a nice way to create a separate, different kind of fantasy setting. But also it's written, it's not written like modern books. Obviously, let me show you a picture of the cover, by the way. This cover is gorgeous, I think. That's not the original cover, but I read it on my Kindle. This is part of my Shorty September project. And I think this was like 178 pages or something like that. It was a real easy read. But, it wasn't written like Harry Potter or Stephen King novel. It wasn't written in this kind of modern, everybody writes the same kind of thing. It's a more formal style of language. She's obviously put some thought into the lyricism of the words and the paragraphs. I felt like I was reading a work of mythology that wasn't as difficult or as archaic as, say reading the Odyssey or something like that. I won't go too much into the plot here, but, I will say it's interesting. Each chapter is a distinct adventure, which I think is a good thing. And I've read a lot of novels lately where a chapter can't stand on its own at all. And to me, chapters, it's just my opinion, okay? So don't hold this against me, and I know other people like different kinds of novels. But to me, each chapter should be a short story by itself. You may or may not understand all of it, but it should still somewhat stand on its own. There should be a main character. The main character should want something. The main character should overcome obstacles to get that something. And that she does that very well in the chapters for A Wizard of Earthsea. And one of the nice things about it too is it doesn't consist of a lot of battles or wars. And she talks about that, the author, in the afterward, that, you know, she wasn't interested in writing a fantasy book where there were a bunch of wars going on. And so, unlike the Lord of the Rings or even the Chronicles of Narnia, you know, you just don't have any wars or battles, but it's still a very interesting fantasy novel. Anyway, if you like fantasy and you haven't read A Wizard of Earthsea, you should. It was featured recently on Steve Donahue's video about essential works of fantasy that you should read. I have not read any of the other books in the series. I haven't read anything else by Ursula K. Leguin, which is weird because I've known who she was since I was 15 years old. I don't know why it took me so long to get to this, but I'm glad that I finally did. And I also feel like I've got a lot of fiction to look forward to because I think Leguin was reasonably prolific. And that's my review of A Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula K. Leguin. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you've read it, leave a comment. If you haven't read it, leave a comment and let me know. Oh, golly, I've just broken the first rule of the literate Texan. I don't ask people to leave comments. They just do. Oops. Anyway, yeah, if you haven't read it, leave a comment and let me know if my review might have inspired you to want to read it, or if this is the first time you've heard of it, or whatever. I try to respond to every comment that I get. If I don't respond, it's not because I don't like you, and it's not because I don't like the comment. It's just because somehow I missed it, because, you know, I think I pointed out I'm not all there these days. Anyway, the weather's cooler. I've enjoyed making this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it. Stay hydrated, and I'll be back soon with another video.